So I think when people get to the end of life, regret shows up, and it shows up in different ways. I know for me, in 2011, when I got sick, the doctor told me, he says, Gary, if we can't change the direction of this, you may have about 6 months. Now, he wasn't giving me a death sentence. He wasn't saying that I had terminal cancer. He wasn't saying that this was the end. But there was a perceived end of life coming if things didn't change direction. And so you start to evaluate. You start to get what we call mortality motivation even. And people start to look back on the way they live their life. And if you don't do that before that moment, you could get to a point of end of life that you start to have regret. And so I like to do a little bit of a table, like a checks and balances around that in my life, just to kind of figure out if there's regret that I'm holding on to. And I have found, and this might not be the case for every person, that I don't regret the things I did wrong. I just don't. I mean, things I did wrong, you did it wrong. You overcome it. But I do start to regret the things I didn't do at all. The people that I failed to meet. The relationships that I didn't cultivate, right? The words not said. The dreams left unpursued, if you will. Those things can be a big time hindrance and cause regret in my heart. And so when I get to the end of life, or even a perceived end of life, I don't want that to show up. I want to have times regularly that I'm checking to see if I should have done something. I had a decision to make this morning. Do I hold a check that somebody gave me for something that they did not do that they should have done? And part of me felt like taking this check, this money, would create a little bit of bitterness in that person's heart towards me, even though that they did something wrong. I was really holding them to the screws. Money hurts when you have to give up money for something you did wrong. And even though maybe entitlement, I was entitled to the damage or the money, I still made a decision to not take the money. I still made the decision to let the money go back because I felt like I would hold regret for it, right? And I didn't want to hold regret. Here's an exercise I like to do. Every week I do a mental cleanse. And in that mental cleanse, I write down everything that's bothering me. And a part of that, writing that down, is any regrets that I have from the week, something I should have did that I didn't do. Maybe an apology, kind words, a thank you to somebody. And so that's the first thing I do is I write down anything. I also use that moment to write down all my fears or anything that's bothering me. Next thing I do is I write down all my gratitude, everything I'm grateful for. The Bible says a merry heart doeth good like a medicine, but a broken spirit drive the bone. And in this mental cleanse, I like to try to heal based on my gratitude. And then last is I write down anything that I need to go do, to-dos, vision, innovation, strategy, anything that came out of the session. I feel like maybe every week, maybe too much for some people, but we don't want to wait till the end of life to do that, right? We want to make sure we identify any regrets that we have and make those wrongs right, and take the steps that we should have taken. One of the things I've done with Susan, my wife, is she has some aspirations to do some crazy stuff. And I'm like, babe, don't wait. Go do it. Like, if you want to jump out of a plane, go jump out of a plane. I'm not going with you, right? You might regret it on the way down, right? Like that you forgot to open your parachute. I don't know. But we don't want that. We don't want regret at the end of life.